The summer table. Hey, is this seat taken? I looked up, and a girl I never saw before was standing across from my table with a lunch tray full of food. She had long, wavy brown hair and wore a brown t shirt with a purple peace sign on it. No, I said. She put her lunch tray on the table, plopped her backpack on the floor, and sat down across from me. She started to eat the mac and cheese on her plate. Ugh, she said after swallowing the first bite. I should have brought a sandwich like you did. Yeah, I said, nodding. My name is Summer, by the way. What's yours? August. Cool, she said. Summer! Another girl came over to the table carrying a tray. Why are you sitting here? Come back to the table. It was too crowded, Summer answered her. Come sit here. There's more room. The other girl looked confused for a second. I realized she had been one of the girls I had caught looking at me a few minutes earlier, hand cupped over her mouth, whispering. I guess Summer had been one of the girls at that table, too. Never mind, said the girl, leaving. Summer looked at me, shrugged, smiled, and took another bite of her mac and cheese. Hey, our names kind of match, she said as she chewed. I guess she could tell I didn't know what she meant. Summer? August? She said, smiling, her eyes open as she waited for me to get it. Oh yeah, I said after a second. We can make this the summer-only lunch table, she said. Only kids with summer names can sit here. Let's see, is there anyone named June or July? There's a Maya, I said. Technically, May is spring, Summer answered. But if she wanted to sit here, we could make an exception, she said, as if she actually thought the whole thing through. There's Julian. That's like the name Julia, which comes from July. I didn't say anything. There's a kid named Reed in my English class, I said. Yeah, I know Reed. But how is Reed a summer name? She asked. I don't know, I shrugged. I just picture, like, a reed of grass being a summer thing. Yeah, okay, she nodded, pulling out her notebook. And Miss Petosa could sit here, too. That kind of sounds like the word petal, which I think of as a summer thing, too. I have her for homeroom, I said. I have her for math, she answered, making a face. She started writing the list of names on the second to last page of her notebook. So, who else? By the end of lunch, we had come up with a whole list of names of kids and teachers who could sit at our table if they wanted. Most of the names weren't actually summer names, but they were names that had some connection to summer. I even found a way to make Jack Will's name by pointing out that you could turn his name into a sentence about summer, like, Jack will go to the beach, which Summer agreed worked fine. But if someone doesn't have a summer name and wants to sit with us, she said very seriously, we'll still let them sit here if they're nice, okay? Okay, I nodded, even if it's a winter name. Cool beans, she answered, giving me a thumbs up. Summer looked like her name. She had a tan and her eyes were green like a leaf. 1 to 10. Mom always had this habit of asking me how something felt on a scale of 1 to 10. It started after I had my jaw surgery, when I couldn't talk because my mouth was wired shut. They had taken a piece of bone from my hip bone to insert into my chin to make it look more normal. So I was hurting in a lot of different places. Mom would point to one of my bandages, and I would hold up my fingers to show her how much it was hurting. 1 meant a little bit, 10 meant so much. Then she would tell the doctor when he made his rounds what needed adjusting, or things like that. Mom got very good at reading my mind sometimes. After that, we got into the habit of doing the 1 to 10 scale for anything that hurt. Like, if I just had a plain old sore throat, she'd ask, 1 to 10, and I'd say 3, or whatever it was. When school was over, I went outside to meet Mom, who was waiting for me at the front entrance like all the other parents or babysitters. The first thing she said after hugging me was, so how was it? 1 to 10. 5, I said, shrugging, which I could tell totally surprised her. Wow, she said quietly. That's even better than I hoped for. Are we picking Via up? Miranda's mother is picking her up today. Do you want me to carry your backpack, sweetness? We had started walking through the crowd of kids and parents, most of whom were noticing me, secretly pointing me out to each other. I'm fine, I said. It looks too heavy, Augie. She started to take it from me. Mom, I said, pulling my backpack away from her. I walked in front of her through the crowd. See you tomorrow, August. It was Summer. She was walking in the opposite direction. Bye, Summer, I said, waving at her. As soon as we crossed the street and were away from the crowd, Mom said, "Who is that, Augie?" "Summer." "Is she in your class?" "I have lots of classes." "Is she in any of your classes?" Mom said, "I don't know." Mom waited for me to say something else, but I just didn't feel like talking. "So it went okay?" said Mom. I could tell she had a million questions she wanted to ask me. "Everyone was nice? Did you like your teachers?" "Yeah." "How about those kids you met last week? Were they nice?" Fine. Jack hung out with me a lot." "That's so great, sweetie. What about that boy, Julian?" I thought about that Darth Sidious comment. But now it felt like that was 100 years ago. "He was okay," I said. "And the blonde girl, what was her name?" "Charlotte." "Mom, I said everyone was nice already." "Okay," Mom answered. I honestly don't know why I was kind of mad at Mom, but I was. We crossed Amsforth Avenue, and she didn't say anything else until we turned onto our block. "So," Mom said, "how did you meet Summer if she wasn't in any of your classes?" "We sat together at lunch," I said. I had started kicking a rock between my feet like it was a soccer ball, chasing it back and forth across the sidewalk. "She seems very nice." "Yeah, she is. She's very pretty," Mom said. "Yeah, I know," I answered. "We're kind of like Beauty and the Beast." I didn't wait to see Mom's reaction. I just started running down the sidewalk after the rock, which I had kicked as hard as I could in front of me. Padawan. That night, I cut off the little braid on the back of my head. Dad noticed first. "Oh, good," he said. "I never liked that thing." Via couldn't believe I cut it off. "That took you years to grow," she said, almost like she was angry. "Why did you cut it off?" "I don't know," I answered. "Did someone make fun of it?" "No." "Did you tell Christopher you were cutting it off?" "We're not even friends anymore." "That's not true," she said. "I can't believe you would just cut it off like that," she added snottily, then practically slammed my bedroom door as she left. I was snuggling with Daisy on my bed when Dad came in to tuck me later. He scooched Daisy over gently and laid down next to me on the blanket. "So, Augie Doggie," he said, "it was really an okay day?" He got that from an old cartoon about a dachshund named Augie Doggie, by the way. He bought it for me on eBay when I was about 4, and we watched it a lot for a while, especially in the hospital. He would call me Augie Doggie, and I would call him dear old Dad, like the puppy called the dachshund Dad in the show. "Yeah, it was totally okay," I said, nodding. "You've been quiet all along." "I guess I'm tired." "It was a long day, huh?" I nodded. "But it really was okay?" I nodded again. He didn't say anything, so after a few seconds, I said, "It was better than okay, actually." "That's great to hear, Augie," he said quietly, kissing my forehead. "So it looks like it was a good call Mom made. You're going to school." "Yeah, but I could stop going if I wanted to, right?" "That was the deal, yes," he answered. "Though I guess it would depend on why you wanted to stop going, too, you know. You'd have to let us know. You'd have to talk to us and tell us how you're feeling and if anything bad was happening. Okay? You promise you'd tell us?" "Yeah." "So, can I ask you something? Are you mad at Mom or something? You've been kind of huffy with her all night long. You know, Augie, I'm as much to blame for sending you to school as she is." "No, she's more to blame. It was her idea." Mom knocked on the door just then and peeked her head inside my room. "Just wanted to say goodnight," she said. She looked kind of shy for a second. "Hi, Mama," Dad said, picking up my hand and waving it at her. "I heard you cut off your braid," Mom said to me, sitting down at the edge of the bed next to Daisy. "It's not a big deal," I answered quickly. "I didn't say it was," said Mom. "Why don't you put Augie to bed tonight?" Dad said to Mom, getting up. "I've got some work to do anyway. Good night, my son, my son." That was another part of our Augie Doggie routine, though I wasn't in the mood to say good night, dear old Dad. "I'm so proud of you," said Dad. And then he got up and off the bed. Mom and Dad had always taken turns putting me to bed. I know it was a little babyish of me to still need them to do that, but that's just how it was with me. "Will you check on Via?" Mom said to Dad as she lay down next to me. He stopped by the door and turned around. What's wrong with Via?" "Nothing," said Mom, shrugging. "At least that she would tell me. But first day of high school and all that." Said Dad. And then he pointed his finger at me and winked. "It's always something with you kids, isn't it?" he said. "Never a dull moment," said Mom. "Never a dull moment," Dad repeated. "Good night, guys." As soon as he closed the door, Mom pulled out the book she'd been reading with me for the last couple of weeks. I was relieved because I was really afraid she'd want to talk, and I just didn't feel like doing that. But Mom didn't seem to want to talk either. She just flipped through the pages until she got where we had left off. We were about halfway through The Hobbit. "Stop, stop!" shouted Thorin, said Mom, reading aloud. But it was too late. The excited dwarves had wasted their last arrows, and now the bows that Beren had given them were useless. They were a gloomy party that night, and the gloom gathered still deeper on them in the following days. They had crossed the enchanted stream, but beyond in the path seemed to straggle on just as before, and in the forest they could see no change. I'm not sure why, but all of a sudden I started to cry. Mom put the book down and wrapped her arms around me. She didn't seem surprised that I was crying. "It's okay," she whispered in my ear. "It'll be okay." "I'm sorry," I said between sniffles. "Shh," she said, wiping my tears with the back of her hand. "You have nothing to be sorry about." "Why am I so ugly, Mommy?" I whispered. "No, baby, you're not. I know I am." She kissed me all over my face. She kissed my eyes that came down too far. She kissed my cheeks that looked punched in. She kissed my tortoise mouth. She said soft words that I know were meant to comfort me. But the words didn't change my face.
Excuse the interruption. Please allow.
Wake me up when September ends. The rest of September was hard. I wasn't used to getting up so early in the morning. I wasn't used to this whole notion of homework. And I got my first quiz at the end of the month. I never got quizzes when Mom homeschooled me. I also didn't like how I had no free time anymore. Before, I was able to play whenever I wanted to, but now it felt like I always had stuff to do for school. And beginning at school was awful in the beginning. Every new class I had was like a new chance for kids to not stare at me. They would sneak peeks at me from behind their notebooks, or when they thought I wasn't looking. They would take the longest way around me to avoid bumping into me in any way. Like I had some germ they could catch. Like my face was contagious. In the hallways, which were always crowded, my face would always surprise some unsuspecting kid who maybe hadn't heard about me. The kid would make that sound you make when you hold your breath before going underwater, a little sound. This happened maybe 4 or 5 times a day for the first few weeks. On the stairs, in front of lockers, in the library. 500 kids in a school. Eventually, every one of them was going to see my face at some time. I knew after the first couple of days that word had gotten out about me. Because every once in a while, I'd catch a kid elbowing his friend as they passed me, or talking behind their hands as I walked by them. I can only imagine what they were saying about me. Actually, I prefer not to even try to imagine. I'm not saying they were doing any of these things in a mean way, by the way. Not once did any kid laugh or make noises or do anything like that. They were just being normal, dumb kids. I know that. I kind of wanted to tell them that. Like, it's okay. I know I'm weird looking. Take a look. I don't bite. Hey, the truth is, if a Wookiee started going to the school all of a sudden, I'd be curious. I'd probably stare a bit. And if I was walking with Jack or Summer, I'd probably whisper to them, "Hey, there's the Wookiee." And if the Wookiee caught me saying that, he'd know I wasn't trying to be mean. I was just pointing out the fact that he is a Wookiee. It took about 1 week for the kids in my class to get used to my face. They were the kids I'd seen every day in all my classes. It took about 2 weeks for the rest of the kids in my grade to get used to my face. These were the kids I'd see in cafeteria, yard time, PE, music, library, and computer class. It took about a month for the rest of the kids in the entire grade school to get used to it. These were the kids in all the other grades. They were big kids, some of them. Some of them had crazy haircuts. Some of them had earrings in their noses. Some of them had pimples. But none of them looked like me. I hung out with Jack in homeroom, English, history, computer, music, and science, which were all the classes we had together. The teachers assigned seats in every class, and I ended up sitting next to Jack in every single class. So I figured either the teachers were told to put me and Jack together, or it was totally incredible coincidence. I walked to classes with Jack, too. I know he noticed kids staring at me, but he pretended not to notice. One time, though, on our way to history, this huge 8th grader was zooming down the stairs 2 steps at a time, and it accidentally bumped into us at the bottom of the stairs and knocked me down. As the guy helped me stand up, he got a look at my face, and without even meaning to, he just said, "Whoa." Then he patted me on the shoulder like he was dusting me off and took off after his friends. For some reason, me and Jack started cracking up. "That guy made the funniest face," said Jack as we sat down at our desks. "I know, right?" I said. He was like, "Whoa." I swear, I think he wet his pants. We were laughing so hard that the teacher, Mr. Roche, had to ask us to settle down. Later, after we finished reading about how ancient Sumerians built sundials, Jack whispered, "Do you ever want to beat those kids up?" I shrugged. "I guess. I don't know." "I'd want to. I think you should get a secret squirt gun or something and attach it to your eye somehow. And every time someone stares at you, you could squirt them in the face." "With some green slime or something," I answered. No, with slug juice mixed with dog pee." "Yeah," I said, completely agreeing. "Guys," said Mr. Roche from across the room, "people are still reading." We nodded and looked down at our books. Then Jack whispered, "Are you always going to look this way, August? I mean, can't you get plastic surgery or something?" I smiled and pointed at my face. "Hello, this is after plastic surgery." Jack clapped his hand over his forehead and started laughing hysterically. "Dude, you should sue your doctor," he answered between giggles. This time, the two of us were laughing so much we couldn't stop, even after Mr. Roche came over and made us both switch chairs with the kids next to us. Mr. Brown's October precept. Mr. Brown's precept for October was, "Your deeds are your monuments." He told us that this was written on the tombstone of some Egyptian guy that died thousands of years ago. Since we were just about to start studying ancient Egypt in history, Mr. Brown thought this was a good choice for a precept. Our homework assignment was to write a paragraph about what we thought the precept meant, or how we felt about it. This is what I wrote. "This precept means that we should be remembered for the things we do. The things we do are the most important things of all. They are the more important things than what we say or what we look like. The things we do outlast our morality. The things we do are like monuments that people build to honor heroes after they died. Like the pyramids that the Egyptians built to honor the pharaohs. Only instead of being made out of stone, they're made out of memories people have you. That's why your deeds are like your monuments, built with memories instead of with stone." Apples. My birthday is October 10th. I like my birthday, 10/10. It would have been great if I'd been born exactly 10:10 in the morning or at night, but I wasn't. I was born just after midnight, but I still think my birthday is cool. I usually have a little party at home, but this year I asked Mom if I could have a big bowling party. Mom was surprised but happy. She asked me who I wanted to ask for my class, and I said everyone in homeroom plus Summer. "That's a lot of kids, Augie," said Mom. "I have to invite everyone because I don't want anyone to get their feelings hurt if they find out other people are invited and they aren't, okay?" "Okay," Mom agreed. "You even want to invite that what's the deal kid?" "Yeah, you can invite Julian," I answered. "Geez, Mom, you should forget about that already." "I know, you're right." A couple of weeks later, I asked Mom who was coming to my party. She said Jack Will, Summer, Reed Kingsley, both Maxes, and a couple of other kids said they were going to try to be there. Like who? Charlotte's mom said Charlotte had a dance recital earlier in the day, but she was going to try and come to your party if time allowed. And Tristan's mom said he might come over after his soccer game. "So that's it?" I said. "That's like 5 people." "That's more than 5 people, Augie." "I think a lot of people just had plans already," Mom answered. We were in the kitchen. She was cutting up one of the apples we had just gotten at the farmer's market into teensy-wincy bites so I could eat it. "What kind of plans?" I asked. I don't know, Augie. We sent out the Evites kinda late. Like, what did they tell you, though? What reasons did they give? Everyone gave different reasons, Augie. She sounded a bit impatient. Really, Speedy, it shouldn't matter what the reasons were. People had plans, that's all. What did Julian give as his reason? I asked. You know, said Mom, his mom was the only person who didn't RSVP at all. She looked at me. I guess the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I laughed because I thought she was making a joke, but then I realized she wasn't. What does that mean? I asked. Never mind. Now go wash your hands so you can eat. My birthday party turned out to be much smaller than I thought it would be, but it was still great. Jack, Summer, Reed, Tristan, and both Maxes came from school, and Christopher came too, all the way from Bridgeport with his parents. And Uncle Ben came, and Aunt Kate and Uncle Poe drove in from Boston, though Tata and Papa were in Florida for the winter. It was fun because all the grown-ups ended up bowling in the lane next to ours, so it really felt like there were a lot of people to celebrate my birthday. Halloween. At lunch the next day, Summer asked me what I was going to be for Halloween. Of course, I'd been thinking about it since last Halloween, so I knew right away. Boba Fett. You know, you can wear a costume to school on Halloween, right? No, wait, really? So long as it's politically correct. What, like no guns and stuff? Exactly. What about blasters? I think a blaster is a gun, Augie. Oh man, I said, shaking my head. Boba Fett had a blaster. At least we don't have to come as, character in a book anymore. In the lower school, that's what you had to do. Last year, I was Wicked Witch of the West from Wizard of Oz. But that's a movie, not a book. Hello, Summer answered. It was a book first. One of my favorites in the world, actually. My dad used to read it to me every night in first grade. When Summer talks, especially when she's excited about something, her eyes squint like she's looking right into the sun. I hardly ever see Summer during the day, since the only class we have together is English. But ever since that first lunch at school, we've sat at the summer table together every day, just the two of us. So what are you going to be? I asked her. I don't know yet. I know what I'd really want to go as, but I think it might be too dorky. You know, Savannah's group isn't wearing costumes at all this year. They think they're too old for Halloween. What? That's just dumb. I know, right? I thought you didn't care what those girls think. She shrugged and took a long drink of her milk. So what dorky thing do you want to dress up as? I asked. I asked her, smiling. Promise not to laugh? She raised her eyebrows and looked embarrassed. A unicorn. I smiled and looked down at my sandwich.
Theater to the office,
Hey,
please.
you promised not to laugh. She laughed. Okay, I said. But you're right, that is too dorky. I know, she said. But I have it all planned out. I'd make the head out of paper mache and paint the horn gold and make the mane gold too. It'd be so awesome. Okay, I shrugged. Then you should do it. Who cares what other people think, right? Maybe what I'll do is just wear it for the Halloween parade, she said, snapping her fingers. And I'll just be like a goth girl for school. Yeah, that's it. That's what I'll do. Sounds like a plan, I nodded. Thanks, Augie, she giggled. You know, that's what I like best about you. I feel like I can tell you anything. Yeah, I answered, nodding. I gave her a thumbs up sign. Cool beans. School pictures. I don't think anyone will be shocked to learn I don't want to have my school picture taken on October 22nd. No way. No thank you. I stopped letting anyone take my pictures of me for a while now. I guess you could call it a phobia. No, actually, it's not a phobia. It's an aversion, which is a word I just learned in Mr. Brown's class. I have an aversion to having my picture taken. There, I used it in a sentence. I thought Mom would try to get me to drop my aversion to have my school picture taken for school, but she didn't. Unfortunately, while I managed to avoid having the portrait taken, I couldn't get out of being a part of the class picture. Ugh. The photographer looked like he'd just sucked on a lemon when he saw me. I'm sure he thought I ruined the picture. I was one of the ones in the front row, sitting down. I didn't smile. Not that anyone could tell if I had. the cheese touch. I noticed not too long ago that even though people were getting used to me, no one would actually touch me. I didn't realize this at first because it's not like kids go around touching each other that much in the middle of school anyway. But last Thursday in dance class, which is like my least favorite class, Miss Atanabe, the teacher, tried to make Semia Chin be my dance partner. Now, I've never actually seen someone have a panic attack before, but I have heard about it, and I'm pretty sure Semia had a panic attack at that second. She got really nervous and turned pale, and literally broke into a sweat within a minute. And then she came up with some lame excuse about really having to go to the bathroom. Anyway, Mrs. Atanabe let her off the hook because she ended up not making anyone dance together. Then yesterday in my science elective, we were doing this cool mystery powder investigation where we had to clarify a substance as an acid or a base. Everyone had to heat their mystery powders on a heating plate to make observations, so we were all huddled around the powders with our notebooks. Now there are 8 kids in the elective, and 7 of them were squished together on one side of the plate, while one of them, me, had loads of room on the other side. So of course I noticed this, but I was hoping Miss Rubin wouldn't notice this, because I didn't want her to say something. But of course, she did notice this, and of course, she said something. "Guys, there's plenty of room on that side. Tristan, Nino, go over there," she said. So Tristan and Nino scooted over to my side. Tristan and Nino had always been okay nice to me. I want to go on the record as saying that. Not super nice, like they go out of their way to hang out with me, but okay nice. Like they say hello to me and talk to me like normal. And they didn't even make a face when Miss Rubin told them to come to my side, which a lot of kids do when they think I'm not looking. Anyway, everything was going fine until Tristan's mystery powder started melting. He moved his foil off the plate just as my powder began to melt too, which is why I went to move mine off the plate, and then my hand accidentally bumped his hand for a fraction of a second. Tristan jerked his hand away so fast he dropped his foil on the floor, while also knocking everyone else's foil off the heating plate. "Tristan!" yelled Miss Rubin. But Tristan didn't even care about the spilled powder on the floor, or that he ruined the experiment. What he was most concerned about was getting to the lab sink to wash his hands as fast as possible. That's when I knew for sure that there was a thing about touching me at Beecher Prep. I think it's like the cheese touch in Diary of a Wimpy Kid. The kids in that story were afraid they'd catch the cooties if they touched the old moldy cheese on the basketball court. At Beecher Prep, I'm the old moldy cheese. Costumes. For me, Halloween is the best holiday in the world. It even beats Christmas. I get to dress up in a costume, I get to wear a mask, I get to go around like every other kid with a mask, and nobody thinks I look weird. Nobody takes a second look. Nobody noticed me. Nobody knows me. I wish every day could be like Halloween. We could all wear masks all the time. Then we could walk around and get to know each other before we actually got to see what we looked like under the masks. When I was little, I used to wear an astronaut helmet everywhere I went. To the playground, to the supermarket, to pick Via up from school, even in the middle of the summer. Though it was so hot, my face would sweat.
Come to the office. Devin Rayner.
I think I wore it a
Logan
couple of years,
Mahonchuk,
but I had to stop
Sarah
wearing it
Jensen,
when I got my eye
Merrick
surgery.
Dubinsky,
I was
Evan
about
Jasper,
7, I
Will
think.
McKenzie, Adrian
And then we couldn't find the
Crosby,
helmet after
and
that.
Ethan Gill.
Mom
All
looked
to the
everywhere
office,
for it. She figured that it had probably ended up in Grand's attic. And she kept meaning to look for it, but by then I'd gotten used to not wearing it. She figured that it probably... I have pictures of me in all my Halloween costumes. My first Halloween, I was a pumpkin. My second, I was Tigger. My third, I was Peter Pan. My dad dressed up as Captain Hook. My fourth, I was Captain Hook, and my dad dressed up as Peter Pan. My fifth, I was an astronaut. My sixth, I was Obi-Wan Kenobi. My seventh, I was a clone trooper. My eighth, I was Darth Vader. My ninth, I was the Bleeding Scream, the one that had fake blood oozing over the skull mask. This year, I'm going to be Boba Fett. Not Boba Fett, the kid in Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones,
Kennedy to the office, please. Marissa Kennedy.
but Boba Fett, the man from Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Mom searched everywhere for the costume, but couldn't find one in my size. so she bought me a Jango Fett costume.
Rain Tugas to the office, please. Rain Tugas.
Since Jango was Baba's dad and wore the same armor. And then painted the armor green. She did some other stuff to it to make it look worn, too. Anyway, it looks totally real. Mom's good at costumes. In homeroom, we all talked about what we were going to be for Halloween. Charlotte was going as Hermione from Harry Potter. Jack was going as Wolfman. I heard that Julian was going as Jango Fett, which was a weird coincidence. I don't think he liked hearing that I was going as Boba Fett. On the morning of Halloween, Via had this big crying meltdown about something. Via's always been so calm and cool, but this year she's had a couple of these kinds of fits. Dad was late for work and was like, "Via, let's go, let's go." Usually Dad is super patient about things, but not when it comes to his being late for work. And his yelling just stressed out Via even more, and she started crying louder. So Mom told Dad to take me to school and that she'd deal with Via. Then Mom kissed me goodbye quickly before I even put on my costume and disappeared into Via's room. "Augie, let's go now," said Dad. "I have a meeting that I can't be late for." "I haven't put on my costume yet, so put it on already. 5 minutes, I'll meet you outside." I rushed to my room and started putting on my Boba Fett costume, but all of a sudden, I didn't feel like wearing it. I'm not sure why. Maybe because it had all of these belts that needed to be tightened and I needed someone's help to put it on. Or maybe it was because it still smelled a little like paint. All I knew was that it was a lot of work to put on the costume, and Dad was waiting and would get super impatient if I made him late. So at last minute, I threw on the Bleeding Scream costume from last year. It was such an easy costume, just a long black robe and a big white mask. I yelled goodbye from the door on my way out, but Mom didn't even hear me. "I thought you were going as Jango Fett," said Dad when I got outside. "Boba Fett." "Whatever," said Dad. "This is a better costume anyway." "Yeah, it's cool," I answered. The Bleeding Scream. Walking through the halls that morning on my way to the lockers was, I have to say, absolutely awesome. Everything was different now. I was different. Where I usually walked with my head down, trying to avoid being seen, today I walked with my head up, looking around. I wanted to be seen.
Would Evan Jasper, Ethan Gill, and Logan Bahachuk please come to the office?
One kid wearing the exact same costume as mine, long white skull face oozing fake red blood, high-fived me as we passed each other on the stairs. I have no idea who he was, and he had no idea who I was. And I wondered for a second if he would have ever done that if he'd known it was me under the mask. I was starting to think this was going to go down as one of the most awesome days in the history of my life. But then I got to homeroom. The first costume I saw as I walked inside the door was Darth Sidious. It had one of the rubber masks that are so realistic, and with a big black hood over the head and a long black robe. I knew right away it was Julian, of course. He must have changed his costume at the last minute because he thought I was coming as Jango Fett. He was talking to two mummies who must have been Miles and Henry, and they were all looking through the door as if they were waiting for someone to come through it. I knew it wasn't a Bleeding Scream they were looking for. It was a Boba Fett. I was going to go sit at my usual desk, but for some reason, I don't know why, I found myself walking over the desk near them. All I could hear was them talking. One of the mummies was saying, "It really does look like fun." "Like this part especially," answered Julian's voice. He put his fingers on his cheeks and eyes in the Darth Sidious mask. "Actually," said the mummy, "what he really looks like is one of those shrunken heads. Have you ever seen those? He looks exactly like that." "I think he looks like an orc." "Oh yeah." "If I looked like that," said the Julian voice, kind of laughing, "I swear to God, I put a hood over my face every day." "I've thought about this a lot," said the second mummy, sounding serious. "And I think if I looked like him, seriously, I think I'd kill myself." "You would not," answered Darth Sidious. "Yeah, for real," insisted the same mummy. "I can't imagine looking in the mirror every day and seeing myself like that. It would be too awful. And getting stared at all the time?" "Then why do you hang out with him so much?" asked Darth Sidious. "I don't know," answered the mummy. "Tushman asked me to hang out with him at the beginning of the year, and he must have told all the teachers to put us next to each other in all our classes or something." The mummy shrugged. I knew the shrug, of course. I knew the voice. I knew I wanted to run out of the class then and there, but I stood where I was and listened to Jack Will finish what he's saying. I mean, the thing is, he always follows me around. What am I supposed to do? Just ditch him, said Julian. I don't know what Jack answered, because I walked out of the class without anyone knowing I'd been there. My face felt like it was on fire as I walked back down the stairs. I was sweating under my costume, and I started crying. I couldn't keep it from happening. The tears were so thick in my eyes I could barely see, but I couldn't wipe them through the mask as I walked. I was looking for a tiny spot to disappear into. I wanted a hole I could fall inside of, a little black hole that could eat me up. Names: Rat Boy, Freak, Monster, Freddy Krueger, E.T., Gross Out, Lizard Face, Mutant. I know the names they call me. I've been in enough playgrounds to know kids can be mean. I know. I ended up on the second floor bathroom. No one was there because first period had started and everyone was in class. I locked the door to my stall and took my mask off and just cried for I don't know how long. Then I went to the nurse's office, told her I had a stomach ache, which was true, because I felt like I'd been kicked in the gut. Nurse Molly called Mom and had me lie down on the sofa next to her desk. 15 minutes later, Mom was at the door. "Sweetness," she said, coming over to hug me. "Hi," I mumbled. I didn't want her to ask anything until afterward. "You have a stomach ache?" she asked, automatically putting her hand to my forehead to check for temperature. "He says he feels like throwing up," said Nurse Molly, looking at me with very nice eyes. "And I have a headache," I whispered. "I wonder if it's something you ate," said Mom, looking worried. "There's a stomach bug going around," said Nurse Molly. "Oh, geez," said Mom, her eyebrows going up as she shook her head. She helped me to my feet. "Should I call a taxi, or are you okay walking home?" "I can walk." "What a brave kid," said Nurse Molly, patting me on the back as she walked us toward the door. "If he starts throwing up or runs a temperature, you should call the doctor." "Absolutely," said Mom, shaking Nurse Molly's hand. "Thank you so much for taking care of him." "My pleasure," answered Nurse Molly, putting her hand under my chin and tilting my face up. "You take care of yourself, okay?" I nodded and mumbled thank you. Mom and I walked the whole way home. I didn't tell her anything about what happened. And later, when she asked me if I felt enough to go trick-or-treating after school, I said no. This worried her, since she knew how much I usually loved trick-or-treating. I heard her say to Dad on the phone, "He doesn't even have the energy to go trick-or-treating." No fever at all." "Well, if he doesn't feel better by tomorrow." "I know, poor thing. Imagine his missing Halloween." I got out of going to school the next day too, which was Friday, so I had the whole weekend to think about everything. I was pretty sure I would never go back to school again.
Ethan